Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV in our online interview edition. And now we want to talk to Max Silver and George Paspalas, the CEO of the company. Hi, and good morning to Canada, to Vancouver, actually.
Good morning, Jochen, and good morning, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. Hope everything is well with you and the family.
Yep, very good. Thanks. Different time, but we're doing okay.
Absolutely.
Same for you.
Yeah, most important thing is health, as I always say. Super. Yeah. All right. We spoke the last time, I think, some 3-4 months ago, and there are a lot of good things are going on with Max Silver for sure. So first of all, what I would like to know is how is the company, let's say, performing? How is it going in Q4 now with your underground ore extraction, which you are processing at the Fresnillo plant?
Okay, yeah. The company's going very well, Jochen, actually. And I think that's reflected in the fact that, recently we hit some record share prices. The underground is going well. We've now, we commenced processing material from underground in the Fresnillo plant in July. Mm-hmm. And up until recently, that was development material. So it's not actually full-on mining of the mineralization, right? So it's usually very diluted, but we've been getting grades in the 200 to 300 gram per ton silver, which was very surprising to the upside. Now we've got 2 larger mining areas opened up, and we can, if I could share my screen, I'd show you some nice big fat Valdecanes veins that we're mining. And that's what's going to be coming through now over the next, I don't know, maybe 8 months. And so the plan is still the same, 2 days a month in a dedicated batch of Juanicipio material going through the Fresnillo plant. And we get to have a very real life play and tweak of the performance of this material and learn how it processes. So when we come to start up our plant in the middle of next year, we've been doing it for nearly a year, and it's going to de-risk the startup. So it's going really well. And then on the side benefit, we're making some cash. So, I mean, it's a pretty unique situation where you still, if you look on our website, you'll see the construction's coming along well, but we're still building the flotation plant, and we've got cash from the underground mine.
That's I would say a best case scenario, definitely. And so if you talk about cash, can you maybe give us some amounts already? I mean, are we talking about significant cash, or is it just like nice to have? Can you go a bit more in detail? Is that possible?
Well, it's more than the CEO's salary, I can tell you that. No, given the grades that we've been processing, right? We're seeing around $4 or $5 million a quarter coming to MAG. We're hoping as we get into those bigger mining areas in the mineralization, the grade will go up, and we'd like to see that amount come up a little bit. So, quarter after quarter, it's not insignificant.
No, this is a nice amount. I mean, we talk about, let's say, $15 to $20 million a year, and that helps, of course, a lot. If we are talking already about cash, so what's the financial situation of the company? What do you have in the treasury, as you have raised some money this year very successfully, of course, also? And meaning, what do you have in the bank, and what do you still need until to get to the day where you say, okay, Juanicipio processing plant, our own plant, is now really up and running?
So at the end of September, end of Q3, we had $142 million US. Our forecast to spend to complete the project is 117. So we got a 20 million buffer, let's say, and we make that estimate based on building the project for $440 million on a 100% basis. And the indications we have at the moment is the budget looks pretty good. So we've got enough cash on the balance sheet to get us to production. And then we've still got the side stream cash flow coming in, which we're not counting that in our numbers, right?
That's important, yeah.
A little bit of insurance. And then, we're anticipating a reasonably successful startup. And both Fresnillo and ourselves have agreed that it's probably realistic to be able to tell people that by the end of 2021, like the end of next year, we should be at 85% of the nameplate of 4,000 tonnes per day. And if that's the case, we should be generating pretty reasonable cash flows.
Absolutely. So 85% of the nameplate, what would that mean production-wise if we put that with 4,000 tons through? Well, how many ounces of silver or silver equivalent, if you want to describe it?
We don't use that word, Jochen, equivalent. Right? We don't have to use that. We just use silver ounces. The rest is the rest is like the side stream cash flow. It's insurance and contingency.
Good.
So at 4,000 tons per day, in the first few years where the grade is the highest, on a 100% basis, we're in the high teens to low 20 million ounces of silver per annum. So 85% of that, probably, let's say we're 15, right? 15 million to be conservative. And then let's take half of that because we're 44%. So the mag, that gets us around, say, 8 million ounces of silver per annum to our account.
Absolutely, that's great. And through, let's say, your learning curve you are doing now, is everything like you have it expected, or do you see, let's say, large problems coming up? Meaning, do you think you really can achieve, let's say, by 2022 latest, those $5 AISC cost per ounce of silver you have projected?
Well, short answer, yes. But let me give you a little bit more detail on that. The first thing you look at is how does the rock grind up and mill? And it is very similar to the Saucito plant. Fresnillo have told us, which they've been processing since 2008. And so it looks like that the assumptions we made in the design of the mill are actually conservative. And we're very comfortable about achieving the 4,000 tonnes per day. Okay, so we can grind it up to then put it in the flotation circuit. What we've learned in the flotation circuit is the estimates that we have in the PEA from 2 metallurgical test work programs, recoveries in the high 80s, low 90% for the 3 primary metals, lead, silver, and zinc. We are almost achieving those now, and that's on a circuit that's configured for a much lower silver grade than what we'll be running. And what's surprise to the upside is how high the grade of silver is in the concentrate. Metallurgically, it looks like it's performing in line with the expectations from the metallurgical test work, and we may be pleasantly surprised on the grade, which means we may be able to give up a little bit of concentrate grade and get even more recovery. And that's what we're going to be doing now over the next few months. So that's the long answer to yes. The costs we're seeing are in line with our expectations. So, I think the $5 an ounce is an achievable number in the, let's say, medium term to be conservative, right? Not on the first month of processing, but certainly
for sure not. Super. Well, that sounds fantastic, because that means that you've done your homework before already to set it up, and now it looks like everything is turning out like you wanted to have it, and that is fantastic. So what's going on with, let's say, more underground exploration at Juanicipio, Saucito veins, Valdecanas, etc.? Is there any news, anything going on? Are you drilling today?
Yeah, we're drilling a lot. In fact, we expect to be probably having a record year on drilling. More than 25,000 meters. And a lot of that is Valdecanas, Anticipata, and around that system. We're also doing some drilling from underground as well as surface. And we're completing the program now. We lost about 6 weeks of the drilling due to COVID around March, April. But it looks like we'll make that up in the year. And, we will probably release the outcomes of that drilling program end of first quarter next year. We've got to get all the data in yet, then we've got to understand it. But there's no doubt that Valdecanes is now the Valdecanes vein system. Right? It's more than the one vein. Right? There's the two anticipators. There's a hanging wall vein. There's the venatus that run 90 degrees to it. And I think we'll find more of those as we drill more. We have a Hollywood problem here, right? Because we've only explored 5% of the joint venture ground. And there are some targets, based on what we've learned drilling deep in Valdecanes and the fluid upwelling zone. There are some other targets on the joint venture property that are going, drill me, come and drill here now. But every time we drill around Valdecanes, we find stuff, and it's hard to walk away from success, right?
Absolutely.
And it's where you're building your mind. So now, in an ideal world, we'd like to come at this with a two-pronged approach next year moving forward, where we keep one team drilling around Valdecanes because that's high-value success. It's where you're mining, and it also talks to the potential to have a expanded situation in the future. But then have a different team focused on grassroots exploration and go and do this stuff elsewhere on the property.
Okay, super, fantastic. So if we are talking already about drilling, you also bought a project in Utah, Deer Trail. So how did that come? And I saw in the presentation that you are doing already 6,500 meters drilling since November. So what's going on there?
Yeah, this is I think this is a great story.
Okay.
Dr. Peter McGaw, our Chief Exploration Officer, first worked on around the Deer Trail property in 1982. And, to paraphrase what Peter's said to me over the years, this is really good. The potential here is huge, and it should be in mag. And so we've worked with the owners of properties here since 2016. And we started to make progress, but we were very careful the way we moved forward because we didn't want to announce prematurely that we were accumulating ground and heading towards a commercial arrangement here in case other people came in and sort of messed up our sand pit. And we wanted to get on the ground and form very good relationships with the community and regulators. So that when we came out and we started to move the project forward, we'd set it all up properly. So from 2016, we negotiated and we finally did a commercial deal 2 years ago, December of 2018. We continued to get a little bit more ground. This is one of the most important things about Deer Trail. It's the first time in a very long time that the whole area around the geological potential is owned by one company. And then, which enables you to come up and have a big picture think about things. And we've got one of the best big picture thinking geologists around who actually happens to be a carbonate replacement deposit CRD expert. And so we've positioned this for success. And then we took a couple of years to just make sure we had it right with the community. So we announced it maybe 2 months ago now. We got a drill permit in a month. Utah is a very mining-friendly jurisdiction. The community have welcomed us. It's a real special relationship we have, and we're very careful to make sure we respect that all the way along. And so we've started drilling about 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago. But what we're telling people is we have a model for the mineralized potential here. And our first drill program this might sound strange, but we're not drilling to find assays. We're not drilling to find mineralization. We're actually drilling to understand the nature of the host rock where we believe the mineralization is. And that will enable us to truth up our model. And if we can truth up our model, the bling will come with the mineralization, right? The
okay.
bling. So,
fantastic.
Yeah. So I think it's important that people don't expect big assays to come out of the first drill program, because we're not looking for that. If we happen to hit them, bonus.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to 2003. Let me take you back to 2003 when mag went on the ground in Juanicipio. It was a different geological theory, and we were drilling for the model, and we were drilling to prove up the model. And discovery hole was hole 1. Come forward now to 2020, 2021, we're drilling for the model. We're drilling to truth up our model and, you know, refine it. Let's see what happens on the first drill program.
Okay, cool. That sounds like a great plan. So that means those 6,500 meters are for definition, I would call it, definition of the model, of course, to understand everything. So what would be the plan then for 2021? Let's assume with those 6,500 meters, you have already a nice model discovered, I would call it. Yeah. What is the next step?
Well, we're looking for a rock unit underground called the red wall limestones. This is what you see in the Grand Canyon, that big, thick red section you see running through the
beautiful,
which is a perfect environment to dissolve and host high-grade silver when you're in a porphyry system like we have here. Right? So we want to find out where it starts, and then how deep it is, right? Where it finishes. And then just look at the structure there and see how that fits on our model. And then we'll adjust the model. And then I think the drilling and the analysis of the results will probably take us to into the second quarter of next year. So it's probably not until more like the second half of the year where we may formulate a second drill program that hopefully then we're going to target where we think the mineralization is, where the feeders are coming out from the heart of it. Because the theory is we find these feeders, we then go back to the juice. And I mean, there's been at the top of this, like it's a mountain, Deer Trail's a mountain, and at the top of this, there's been 100 years of historical mining there, 300 to 465 grams per ton silver. But we believe that's right at the top of the system, where some of the minerals have escaped from the center.
From the hotspot.
We want the hotspot, like we have at Valdecanes. It's the fluid upwelling zone. It's the hotspot.
Yeah, that's right. So the hotspot would be the jackpot.
Wow, whatever you want to call it.
Fantastic. Great. Yeah, super. I mean, you've answered all my questions. Thank you very much for that. It was a great update, and we definitely should do a virtual roadshow beginning of February, I would suggest, and to give a lot of more investors a much deeper insight then. That's great. Super. George, thank you very much. I wish you Merry Christmas. All the best. Take care, and hopefully to see you soon back in person.
Okay, thank you, Jocke, and all the best to you as well. And to everybody else watching, keep safe and be on the virtual roadshow in February with Jocke.
That's how we do it. Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was George Paspalas, the CEO of Max Silver, and you heard it. $142 million US dollars in the bank, then a nice side stream, as he called it, of $15 to $20 million already from processing development or from Juanicipio here at the Fresnillo plant. Everything goes the way how they want it, how they modeled it, and that's really important. So it looks like 2021 is a big year for Max Silver here, also hopefully starting then in the mid of 2021 their own processing plant. So things are really progressing, and I think you really should check out the Max Silver and make sure that you maybe is gonna get some. So we wish you all the best. Thanks for watching us. Merry Christmas and bye-bye from Switzerland.